I'm giving you the top 3 meta lockdown builds in NBA 2K26. The first build is from Baugher, he's a top lock and the starting lock on Joe No's Pro-Am team. The second build is from Jo, and he's flat out one of the best locks in the world. And the third lockdown build is from yours truly, Young Dirk. But before we get into these meta lockdown builds, if you want a chance to have some VC, drop a like on the video, comment the word GOAT, and of course, be a subscriber. Now, what if I told you that you could be using your sports knowledge to win money? Well, you're going to want to check out today's video sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple. First, you pick your sport, then select your category or categories, then you select your players and decide if they're going to go more or less. It's that easy, and the more players you get right, the more money you make. And if you use my code to sign up, they will give you $50 in free play when you place your first $5 lineup, win or lose. And Prize Picks is now available in over 40 states. Age restrictions apply. Please play responsibly, and thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. Alright, we're going to start with Baugher's lockdown build. He went with a 6'7". He is 185 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan. Let's go over here and start with the physicals. As we know, speed and agility is very important for defense. We're going to put our speed up to an 89 and then use +2 cap breakers here to get this to a 91. Then we're going to put our agility up to an 86. As for the strength, we're going to put this all the way up to a 72. That's going to get us bronze brick wall, just in case we want to set screens here and there, and immovable on bronze. And we're going to use our tier 2 max badge +2 to get immovable enforcer on gold. And then for the vertical, we're going to put this up to a 74, which is going to come in handy for that high flying denier. On to the actual defense. We're up here lockdown. Our defense obviously has to be good. We're going to put our perimeter D up to a 94 and then use +5 cap breakers here to get our perimeter to a 99, which is going to get us Challenger, On-Ball Menace, and Off-Ball Pest on Legend, along with Pick Dodger on Hall of Fame, and we're going to use a +1 to get that on Legend. I want you guys to take a look at these clips right here. When Baugher is getting bumps, what badge is popping up? On-Ball Menace. A lot of people think immovable is what gets you the bumps, but that is just not true. And I know it's not true because when I get bumps, or when anybody get bumps, when you get bumps, pay attention. You'll notice that On-Ball Menace is the badge that pops up 80% of the time. Me personally, the only time immovable pops up is when a person is like attacking the basket or if they're running straight into me. So On-Ball Menace is going to help you get more bumps on the perimeter, not immovable. Unless they're running straight into you, then sometimes the badge does pop up. All right, on to the steal. And I'm going to talk in a more relaxed voice. A lot of people say I scream too much. Let me know in the comments if you like my chill voice or my normal high energetic voice. Anyways, we are going to put our steal up to a 91 and then use 3 cap breakers here, which is going to get this to a 94 for their interceptor on Hall of Fame, along with glove on gold. We're going to use our defensive specialization max +2 to get our glove to legend, and use our defensive specialization max +1 on interceptor to get that on legend as well. All right, you guys, I lied. That just isn't me. It feels very uncomfortable to talk like that. So back to my normal voice. We're going to go up here to the interior and put this at a 70, and then we're going to come down here to the block and put this to an 84, which is going to get us Paint Patroller and High Flying Denier on silver. And since these are both tier 2 badges, we're going to use our regular tier 2 max +1 on Paint Patroller to get it on gold, and then our crew tier 2 max +1 to get High Flying Denier on gold. Let's jump over here to the shooting, and we're going to put our midi all the way up to an 89, which is going to get a set shot on gold, and we're going to +2 this to get this to legend. So on our lockdown build, we have legend set shot specialist, along with Deadeye and Shifty Shooter on silver. And then for the 3-pointer, we're going to put this up to an 83, which is going to get us bronze limitless range, and we're going to use our regular tier 1 max +1 to get this on silver. And then for the free throw, we're going to put this all the way up to a 90. All right, next let's hop over to the finishing. Now, if you want higher dunk, you can totally do that. It is your build at the end of the day, but we're going to go with a 62 driving dunk. We're going to get hangs off 1, which is actually a pretty decent dunk package. And the reason why it's a 62 is because we're going with a 72 for our standing dunk, which is going to get us that rise up on bronze. And because of that, we're going to be able to get our standing dunks when we go back door. Now let's jump over to the playmaking. And we're going to put our pass accuracy up to a 71. But as you can see, if we use our last cap breaker here, we get +4. So we're going to get this to a 75, which is going to get us break starter on silver. And then we're going to put our speedball ball to a 66. And to finish off the build, our D board to a 60, which is going to get us that rebound chaser on bronze. So here's the first lockdown build. If you want to tweak it to your play style and to the game modes that you play, that's completely okay because it's your build at the end of the day. Now let's get into the next lockdown build. All right, for the next lockdown build, we're going with Jo's. He went with a 6'6" build. He is 200 pounds. and he has a 7-foot wingspan. There's two reasons why people go with a 6'6" over a 6'7". The first reason is the speed. Speed is very important on defense, like we said, and the second reason is you get a little more attributes. So starting with the speed, we're going to put this up to a 90. Then we're going to use +4 cap breakers here to get this to a 94. And then for the agility, we're going to put this up to a 91 and use 1 cap breaker here to get this to a 92. So we have 94 speed with a 92 agility on a 6'6". As for the strength, we're going with a 71, and this is going to get us a movable on bronze, and this is a tier 2 badge, so we're going to use our regular tier 2 max badge +2 to get this on gold. And then for the vertical, we're going to bring this up to a 75. Let's jump over here to the defense. We're going to go to the perimeter, and we're going to put this at a 94, and then use +5 cap breakers here to get this to a 99, and we're going to get Challenger, On-Ball Menace, Pick Dodger, and Off-Ball Pest on Legend. Alright, as for the steal, this is going to be a little lower than you guys think, but I'll explain why, and I actually talked to another top lockdown, and he also went with this steal. So he went with an 85, which is going to get us Gold Interceptor and Glove on Silver. And what he did was, since he did the defensive specialization, he used his +2 on Interceptor to get it on Legend, and he used his +1 to get Glove on Gold. For the interior, we're going with a 60. For the block, we are going with a 78, and that's going to get us High Flying Denier on Silver, along with Paint Patroller on Bronze. And these are actually both tier 2 badges, so we're going to use a +1 on Paint Patroller to get it on Silver, and then another +1 on High Flying Denier to get that on Gold. I know you guys are going to like this. Let's jump over here to the finishing, and we're going to put our driving dunk to an 85. And I know 85, we don't get anything important. So Dirk, why are we going with 85? Well, if you use +1 cap breaker here with this build, you get +2, which gets us an 87, which gets us Posterizer on Silver. So that's why we're going with 85, so use 1 cap breaker here. Important, the cap breaker boosts, if you want to call it that, are sometimes based on specific builds and what attributes you put up. So if you make and tweak this build, make sure that the 1 cap breaker gives you a +2 on the driving dunk. And for the standing dunk, we're going to go with a 72, and that's going to get us Rise Up on Bronze. Let's jump over here to the shooting. We're going to go with an 83-3 and a 73 midi, and you can still shoot consistently on this build, especially because we're going to use our tier 1 max badge +2 on set shot to get this on Hall of Fame, and we're going to use our normal max badge +1 on Shifty to get that on Silver. And if you are a pretty good shooter, you really shouldn't have a problem shooting on this build. I mean, most of your shots are going to be catch and shoot, and if you're shooting with rhythm, it should be a piece of cake. But if you aren't the best shooter and you want a higher midi or 3 and you want to tweak the build, that's completely okay, because remember, it's your build at the end of the day. Onto the playmaking, we're going to keep our ball handle and speed with ball at a 70 and 75, and we are actually going to get the Zach LaVine dribble style, so that's a plus. As for the pass accuracy, I know it's not high, but we're going to put it up to a 60. We had to sacrifice here if we wanted to get everything else, and to be honest with you, 60 isn't even that bad. I run a 65 pass on my main 2's guard. If you don't like the low pass and you want more pass, just tweak the build. And then we're going to finish off the build with an 80 defensive rebound, which is going to get us Box Out Beast and Rebound Chaser on Silver. So here's the second lockdown build. If you want to tweak it to your play style and to the game modes that you play, that's completely okay. Now let's get into the third lock build. Alright, here's my lockdown build, but I want to make it clear that all 3 of these builds are very, very good. So if you do end up making a lock, pick the one that best fits your play style and the game modes that you play. Anyways, we're going with a 6'7". We're going to be 183 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan. Now, if I'm on a lockdown, I like to be as fast as possible, but I also want that extra inch to help me get contests on 6'8". So with that in mind, I think agility is really important for defense. So even though we don't get anything specific, we're going to max this all the way out to a 91. And then for the speed, we're going to put this to an 89 and then use +2 cap breakers here to get this to a 91. And then for the strength, again, we're going to put this up to a 71, which gets us immovable on bronze. And this is still a tier 2, so we're going to get immovable on gold with our max badge +2. And then our vertical, we're going to put it up to a 74, which is going to help us get High Flying Denier on Silver. Let's jump over to the defense. We're going to go with a 94 perimeter and then add +5 to get that 99 again. That's going to get us Challenger, On-Ball Menace, and Off-Ball Pest on Legend. We're actually going to get Pick Dodger on Hall of Fame, so we're going to use a +1 to get that on Legend as well. Okay, so as for the steal, I'm actually going to go with a 90 steal and then use +4 cap breakers here to get this to a 94, which is going to get me interceptor on Hall of Fame and glove on gold. I'm going to use a tier 1 max badge +1 on interceptor to get that on legend, and then I'm actually going to leave glove on gold. As for the interior and the block, we're going to put the interior up to a 70 and the block up to an 84, which is going to get us high flying denier and paint patroller on silver. Now with this build, we are going with the defense build specialization, and we're going to use the +2 to get high flying denier on Hall of Fame, and then we're going to use a regular max badge +1 to get paint patroller on gold. All right, now let's jump over to the rebounding. I think it's important to switch here and there on defense, especially if you get clipped hard with the screen. Regardless of your lock, you're still going to get hit hard with the screen. So I'm going to go with an 80 D board, and that's going to get us box out beast and rebound chaser on silver. And then we're going to put our O board up to a 60. All right, let's jump over here to the playmaking. You guys know me. Pass is very expensive in the builder, so I like to go with a lower rating, especially on a lockdown where your role is not to pass the ball. Your role is to play defense and score when you're given the opportunity. If you want to go with a higher pass accuracy, by all means, go ahead. But to get everything that I wanted on the build, I had to go with the 55 pass. All right, let's jump over here to the finishing. We're going to go with a 73 driving dunk, which is going to get us that posterizer on bronze. And then we're going to go with a 72 standing dunk, which is going to get us that rise up on bronze. We, of course, got to be able to shoot the ball, so let's jump over here to the shooting. We're going to put our three-pointer up to an 83, which is going to get us that set shot on silver, and we're going to use our tier 1 max badge +2 to get this on Hall of Fame, and then we're going to finish off the build with an 84 free throw. Whichever build you go with, as always, if you want to tweak it to your play style and to the game modes that you play, that's completely okay. Now, if you want to improve your defense, check out that video right there. It's going to help you out. Drop a like for me. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Have a good day. Go out.